Sometimes when we read the word of God, we could be tempted to get a judgmental spirit and say some of these people in this Bible were really, really foolish. We think about Adam, we say he was really foolish for letting Eve deceive him. How a woman could deceive him? We think about Samson, we say, nah, he was really foolish for letting Delilah deceive him and cut his hair and lose his strength. We say Samson was a simp. We think about Jonah and we say he was really foolish because he actually thought in his mind. He actually perceived in his mind that he could run away from God. Foolish. We think about the Pharisees trying to trick Jesus and the scribes and the religious leaders and the lawyers thinking they could catch him when they said, who should we stone this woman? And Jesus said, let he who without sin cast the first stone. When he said, should we pay taxes to Caesar? And he said, render unto Caesar what is Caesar, and unto God what is God. Sometimes we think some people are so foolish. But sometimes also we need to put ourselves in their positions as well. See, the Bible says to judge with righteous judgment. And as I was reading Numbers 11, I started to get this judgmental spirit about the people of Israel. I started feeling like these people were so foolish until the epiphany hit me like a brick in the face and said, I do the same thing every day. And this is complaining. Right? So let's get into it. Now, sometimes when God delivers us from something, when he takes us out of a certain situation, when he takes us out of a particular circumstance, when we are in the new environment or in the new thing, sometimes we tend to look back as did the children of Israel and say, way back then this was better, way back then this was, God had just delivered the children of Israel from bondage, from slavery, from oppression, from all of these things. Pharaoh had killed all the male newborns. And the one thing that the children of Israel could say and grumble and complain about was that they wished they were back in Egypt because the food was better. That's actually what they said. They said, at least we had good things to eat in Egypt. But they forgot when Pharaoh was beating them until their skin ripped from the flesh like ribbons. They forgot when their women were taken away. They forgot when all of their newborn male sons were killed. They forgot all of that. They forgot when they had to make bricks without straw. But yet still they say it was better in Egypt. So let's get into this story. Numbers chapter 11, verse 1. Now the people complain about their hardships in the hearing of the Lord. And when he heard them, his anger was aroused. Then fire from the Lord burned among them and consumed some out of the skirts of the camp. When people cried out to Moses, he prayed to the Lord, and the fire died down. So that place was called Tabra, because the fire from the Lord had burned among them. Verse 4. The rabble with them began to crave other food, and again the Israelites started wailing and said, if only we had meat to eat. We remember the fish we ate in Egypt at no cost. Also the cucumbers, melons, leeks, onions, and garlic. But now we have lost our appetite. We never see anything but this manna. Now, manna in itself was a miracle from God. God prepared manna from heaven. God prepared manna from heaven for these Israelites. And yet still they are complaining and saying, you know what, we had all these things better in Egypt. Not remembering the whips as it was cracking upon their backs, not remembering all of the toil and the hard work and the insults and the mockings and the scourgings, but they just remember that part. And such is the case with some of us. Sometimes God will deliver us or remove us from certain situations, and yet still sometimes we say, but wait now, God remove me from that ex, but you're thinking to yourself, well, at least this ex used to cook good, or at least this ex used to encourage me, forgetting that the ex used to abuse you, forgetting that the ex used to cheat on you, forgetting that all these things, the person used to steal your money. Such is the case because we like to compare. We like to compare. Things are never good enough. You understand? Let's continue. Verse 7. The manna was like coriander seed and looked like resin. The people went around gathering it and then ground it into a handmill or crushed it in a mortar. They cooked it in a pot or made it into cakes, and it tasted like something made with olive oil. When the dew settled on the camp at night, the manna also came down. Verse 10. Moses heard the people of every family wailing, each at the entrance of his tent. So these people were coming to Moses and they were wailing or complaining or crying to him about that particular situation. These people just witnessed God turn a sea into a highway and allow them to cross. They witness a pillar of fire. They witness so much supernatural things. They witness manna falling from heaven. And yet still, they come into Moses with this trash. Let's continue. The Lord became exceedingly angry, and Moses was troubled. He asked the Lord, "Why have you brought this trouble on your servant? What have I done to displease you that you put the burden of all these people on me? Did I conceive all these people?" Moses now saying, wait, wait. I make all these people? How am I responsible for all them? You know? Did I give them birth? Why do you tell me to carry them in my arms as a nurse carries an infant to the land you promised and owe to their forefathers? Where can I get meat for all these people? They keep wailing to me, "Give us meat to eat." I cannot carry all these people by myself. The burden is too heavy for me. If this is how you are going to treat me, put me to death right now. If I have found favor in your eyes, and do not let me face my own ruin. And so Moses is frustrated. Moses is despondent because he is saying, wait, wait, wait. Imagine millions, not one, not two, not 10, millions or hundreds of thousands of people come into your tent right through. You have no peace. And they complain and say, "We want better food, we want this, we want that," after God has delivered you. And worse yet, they come into Moses, who is just a representative of God. He isn't God. So they come into Moses with that. Moses is flesh, Moses is human. He would get fed up. So Moses is talking to God, and sharing his dilemma with God. Verse 16, the Lord said to Moses, "Bring me 70 of..." As a matter of fact, let me go into verse. Okay, okay, all right. I'll continue at verse 31. Now a wind went out from the Lord and drove quail in from the sea. So I fast forward a bit, and the Lord said, "Listen, I'll give them what they want." So God sent a wind, and he sent quail, which is something to eat, a bird, right? From the sea. It brought them down all around the camp to about 3 foot above the ground. More than enough. As far as a day's walk in any direction. All that day and night, and all the next day, the people went out and gathered quail. No one gathered less than 10 homers. Then they spread them out all around the camp. But while the meat, listen to this, verse 33, but while the meat was still between their teeth, and before it could be consumed, the anger of the Lord burned against the people, and he struck them with a severe plague. Verse 34. Therefore the place was named Kibroth Hatava, because they buried the people who had craved other food. They bury the people who had craved other food. So God said, so you got what you wanted, but you didn't want what you get. That ever happened to you? You get what you wanted, but you didn't want what you get. You get the girl or you get the man you wanted, but you didn't want what you get after. In hindsight, it looked, but when you get it in reality, it's like, you understand? God was speaking to us with this. And sometimes, as I say, we might think some people foolish, but we do this every single day. Whether we vocalize it or not, we could internalize it or not. But we do this every single day. You understand? So it's just something we need to look into our hearts about. I pray that this word will have blessed you. I pray that you go into this particular word, Numbers chapter 11, and read about the plight of the Israelites and the consequences for their actions. Right? I'm Miracle Evangelist. Wishing you a blessed night.